Hello everyone. Today we'll be discussing about journal publication. We have two doctors with me, Dr. Ahmad and Dr. Jacqueline. First of all, I would like to describe this presentation today. We have three parts. Number one, preparing the journal or manuscript for submitting to the journal. Second part, how to choose the right journal. And number three, addressing the reviewer comments. First of all, I would like to request Dr. Jacqueline, who will be explaining about preparing the manuscript.
Thank you, Dr. Firdaus. Now let's look at how to prepare a manuscript. First of all, a manuscript should show an original piece of work. It discusses the most current issues and tension, and also it needs to be correctly formatted. We need to pay attention on the grammar, spelling, the size and the font used in manuscript writing, and we need to also pay attention on the required spacing. Also, we need to pay attention on the number of words as well as number of pages, which differs from every journal. Besides, we need to take note of the manuscript structure when preparing for a manuscript. First is the title. The title page should contain the title of the article, the full name of the authors, the institutional full addresses for all the authors, and email for the corresponding authors. A good title should be informative and meaningful and not vague. Neither too short or too long. Do not use unnecessary abbreviation, items or details. Focus only on the content. Once you have done with the author's affiliation, corresponding authors, we need to look at the abstract, the keywords, and after that we can start with the introduction. The introduction part will provide the necessary background and information to put in your work into context. The introduction should provide within 2 to 3 paragraphs based on the types of category of information presented with motivation and aims of the study. After that, we'll move on to the literature review, methodology, findings or data analysis, discussion, conclusion, recommendation, and after that with the references.
Thank you, Dr. Jacqueline. Now we'll be describing how to choose the right journal. So I'd like to request Dr. Ahmad, who will be explaining about choosing the right journal for the manuscript.
Thank you, Dr. Firdaus, for your nice introduction. For how to choose the right journal, usually we choosing the right journal to target before we write our manuscript or our paper. This will enable to tailor our writing to the journal audience, and also it will enable us to format our paper according to the any specific guideline which may find in the journal website. And also it will may save a lot of time and effort for the long run. For the peer review services, peer review is considered as a stamp of the quality in the research community. It's important also to consider whether the journal is published by a reputable and trustworthy publisher. The publisher who provide a rigorous peer review services. We have also to consider when we are writing our manuscript about the relevance or the audience of the journal. Browse the published articles in the journal to establish whether the journal published similar papers to the one you are preparing, and also to check whether your peers publish in the same journal. It may also help to review the makeup of the editorial board to see if it contains senior researchers from your field. For the scope of the journal, the scope may be found in the journal homepage. It's very much important to consider whether your work fit within the scientific scope of the journal and the topic related and covered. And also consider whether is the journal in broad or in its scope or specialized journals read mainly by a particular group or community. For the reputation of and the quality of level of the journal you are trying to publish, and you need to consider the reputation of the journal and its field and whether it's considered as a high quality. Also, you need to think about whether it's widely read by your peers. The reputation is often based on the impact factor, which is the measure of and the average citation of the paper published by this journal. And also the high impact factor journals may have high rejection rates. So choosing the suitable journal, you should consider just how novel, how significant your research findings are. You need also to consider the indexing of the journal, whether you need to check whether the journal is indexed in the major online database such as Web of Science or Scopus. Also, indexing increases the visibility and discoverability of your work and may indicate the trusted journals. The index for information also you can find it in the journal website. You need also to check the English requirement by the journal. Most international journals publish papers written in English, and authors should consider the language requirement of this particular journal. Sometime maybe you need to have your paper checked by a native English speaker to ensure that it is understandable. You need also to check about the cost. The journal website should inform you about any fees that you may be charged, and also should consider whether your institution or funder will be able to cover this charge if there is one. Then we have to consider about the publishing model, open access or subscription. The cost of publication in these journals can be paid by a number of ways. Traditionally, the libraries and the other institutions pay the subscription fees to receive the individual journal or collection of titles for their researchers, and authors may incur a page charge for some journals or be charged for color figures. Dr. Firdaus, can I ask you about how to address the editorial comment and what happened to our article after we submit to the journal?
Thank you, Dr. Ahmad, for asking this question. Yes, addressing editorial comment is a very important part. Especially, we need to know the process, the entire process. Basically, we need to know after writing the manuscript, we submit to the journal. Especially, we address to the editor. What happens after that? Editor basically assesses, or editorial board, they assess together whether it is acceptable for the time being or revise, or sometimes they say desk reject if it does not fulfill the requirement of the journal. If, let's say, it is not desk rejected, so what happens is the editor identifies the right reviewers based upon, as just now Dr. Ahmed explained. So reviewer gives the comment on the paper. So after giving the comment, maybe a minor correction or major correction or whatever may be rejected or whatever it is, they send to the editor. They send back to the editor, and then editor contact to us as our article is accepted or not accepted or whatever. So this is the main process usually we follow. After that, what we do is we need to know a typical review, how a reviewer basically identifies this is accepted or not accepted, something like that. There are a few things. The first of all, we may say that reader's interest, whether the manuscript creates the reader interest. That means which category describes this manuscript. It can be like practical, it can be like applicable, it can be like case study, empirical study, whatever. So that's how they mark that yes, it goes in line with the journal. So it fulfills the editor or reader's interest. Secondly, how relevant the manuscript it is. I mean, sometimes the relevancy with the journal is like very much related, sometimes not relevant. So that's how they can take the decision on that. Suppose they are talking about medical journal, for example, and you're talking about business journal. Definitely it is not relevant. So no matter how nicely it is written, they will not accept it. Then the content. So content, suppose it is relevant and it creates the reader's interest. Then they check the content, whether the content is correctly done. There are so many things in the content, whether it is nicely written, as just now Dr. Jakin explained. So those are the things usually reviewers, they put the concentration. But here one thing is very important is how to address reviewers' comment. This is the main thing that we would like to discuss today. Okay, when the reviewer gives comment, there are so many comments maybe are related to your research or somehow you find that not related. Doesn't matter. We have to respond each and every comment given by the reviewer, no matter how related it is. Even though it is not related, we can simply say, because of blah, 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 this comment has been blah, 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 blah. So that's how at least we can create some logic or justification why you are still keeping it or not keeping it, right? but we need to address the comment. Every single comment we need to address. And while we'll be addressing the comments of the reviewer, we have to be very much respectful. The tone, the response tone is supposed to be very much respectful tone. And also we have to respond fully. We cannot partially respond this one. No, we have to respond fully. We have to provide justification. Even though we change or we don't change, no matter what, we need to provide justification why. And we have to explain in detail. So that's how I think we can create the necessary amendments and revision, so we can create the need why this research is still needed to be published. As an author, let's think from another perspective. Let's say I'm an editor. Definitely I have to have some judgmental perspective that how I can accept the manuscript. So we need to think from that perspective as well. We need to think from originality perspective, what original research it is, what's new here. So it is called novelty or newness. And secondly, content. So the content, whether it is enough or not, whether it is well written or not. So this part also we have to address properly in our research, because we are thinking from editorial perspective, how an editor can accept or reject the paper. Then, of course, the simplicity. Simplicity is very, very important. That means whether it is clear, whether it is shorter, whether it is well communicated with the reader. These are the things really an editor or a reviewer looks into, right? So we have to keep an eye on this while we'll be writing our paper. A perfect article or a perfect manuscript actually brings together the two key elements, theoretically and practically. And of course, the contributions perspective, and of course, the implications perspective, and most importantly, knowledge creation perspective. How it has created the knowledge creation perspective. Okay, so that's all about it. I would like to say thanks to Dr. Jacqueline.
Thank you.
And thanks to Dr. Ahmad.
Thank you so much.
For being with us, and I think it was a very nice discussion, very effective discussion. Those who are thinking to write a manuscript, thinking to target a journal, thinking to come up with some of the revisions, I think this video will create the understanding of necessary things that we need to do. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Firdaus. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.